And we are live. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. I'm back. My name is Alesh. You've seen me before, and I'm here with Bill Brown. And Bill Brown is an expert on recruiting and beyond. And he's an author of this amazing book, Don't Suck at Recruiting. And we're going to be talking about that book, but not just about it. We're going to be talking how it sucks to be on the candidate side of the fence, and how it doesn't have to, how we can make it better, and why it actually matters to you if you are a people reader, if you're a talent acquisition expert, recruiter, but basically any people manager in the company, because all of this goes way beyond the sliver of experience that a future employee has with you. If you mess it up at the beginning, you're probably gonna mess it up later on, and it's very difficult to recover. But I'm talking too much, so welcome, Bill. Over to you. Is there anything I missed about your experience? Anything I missed that you definitely need to put in the space? By the way, love the smiley. It's amazing.
Thanks so much. I'm really happy to be here. I think you covered it all. I'm just excited to have a conversation and see how we can speak about creating a better candidate experience.
Amazing. And because we are live, there are some questions that we have in here to start it out. And of course, I'm gonna be using the book as a reference. But I'm assuming there's gonna be some questions from you. So don't hesitate to put them on. I'm gonna be actually encouraging all of you to put the questions into the comments next to the video feed. You should see them on the side. We're gonna be monitoring them as we go. And Bill is the expert on the matter, so you can pick his brain and get some cool answers that might help you to build a better and stable team and get more trust with your employees, and essentially, of course, increasing the productivity and employee satisfaction. Hopefully I'm not over promising, Bill, but let's just go right into it. So the first thing I would want to know, so how would you say a positive candidate experience can translate into better employee engagement? Because that's my purview, Employee
Yeah,
engagement is what I care about, and I absolutely know these are connected. I've been recruited at some point, didn't work all that well always, and whatever scars, the battle scars I got from recruiting, I carry them over into my employment. So if it's positive, how can we translate it? How can we benefit in the employee engagement?
well, I mean, when it comes to creating a positive candidate experience, it really comes down to, I think, three things. When if you recruit the right way, you're able to recruit the top talent. I mean, that's what we're all looking for when we're recruiting. Uh, you know, having a great job description, understanding what the role entails, and how it's going to fit into the organization, and then when you can convey that in a clear way to the candidate, then they can picture themselves in the role. They can see what their impact will be and how they're going to add value. And so then what that does is it helps you create a strong employer brand. If your messaging speaks to who you are, you have people that are internal that can actually be your advocates and raving fans and communicate that to people. Collectively, it creates a strong employer brand. And then the end result, I think, is it helps to create a positive and supportive work environment for everyone.
Totally. I mean, we do all spend most of our lives or productive lives at work. So I think that's very important also, that this experience is pleasant for all of us, not just the productivity itself. These are definitely connected. I mean, I have some experience with the topic because I've been working for quite some time in onboarding process, and one of the one of the favorite pastimes, or I would say even networking activities of the new joiners, were to kind of compare their own very different but so
War stories.
similar horror stories from recruiting, right? There was like, okay, so how many interviews did you have? I had 5. No, that's nothing. I had 7, and I applied 6 months ago and stuff like that. So these were singular stories, luckily, but still, I mean, they were there, and some of them were true horror stories. I mean, I was scared. So I know, Bill, that you've been studying this for quite some time, and you probably know more than I do. I only kind of seen the tip of the iceberg. What would you say are the biggest blunders that companies make when it comes to the candidate journey?
I mean, hearing you talk about that I mean, I hear this on a daily basis from people who are candidates that we're recruiting for our clients for. I've experienced it this myself, which I found quite amazing as someone who's going to either be the top or the second leader of people in the organization. So, I talk about this in my book, but in general, I think the biggest blunders that organizations have are they're not clear about their hiring process. You should be very clear about what the steps are, how long it's going to take, who's going to be involved, why they're involved, etc. Two, and someone spoke about this, during the course of the week when we were talking about this webinar, is that people, meaning employers, are not being clear about timely feedback. They're waiting weeks or months or days or whatever it might be. Generally, if a candidate's not hearing from an employer within a week, they think something's not correct or something's not right. So it's important to be able to have clear, fast feedback for candidates. Not being respectful of their time. So I think I know a lot of employers are sometimes forget that employees and candidates have as much power as the perceived power is of organizations. So we have to be respectful of their time and understand that we're not the only game in town. And then full circle again, it's just like at the end of the process, if the requisition's been open for 60 days or 42 days or whatever it might be, when you close it out, you should be able to communicate with the candidate about what happened. I know that technology is sort of taken over in a lot of ways, and it's good in many ways, but it's also bad in a lot of ways, and it really ensures that the candidate experience is not as solid as it can be. So, like in an applicant tracking system, it's very easy to just say, this role is filled, and then to send out a message that says, we filled the role. It's very easy to do, but sometimes people fail to do that because they want to, for whatever reason, keep the job open or not, follow the process. So that's sort of, my understanding. And so sort of the recap, like, how do you avoid these? Like, be very clear about the hiring process from the start. Give timely feedback, be really respectful of the candidate's time, and then ensure that you're following up with the candidates. I think those are things that will help everyone create a better candidate experience.
Thank you, Bill. And I love these because those are basically the same principles that could be used in internal communication and, even in polite communication among humans in general. Some of these mistakes are totally avoidable. I would say even most of them. And what you mentioned, Bill, what I liked is I just realized this is just a very, very old memory that we oftentimes lack precision. Like when you say, okay, you're going to hear from us in a couple of days. And if I'm applying for jobs, what does it mean, couple of days, right? Is it a week? Is it 2 days really? What do I do? Then I'm kind of sitting on my hands wondering, should I write them? So I would always advocate in any communication, especially in business context, for precision. Is it going to be 5 days? Is it 5 business days? Is it 5 calendar days? Be clear about it. I think that's better for everybody. And I would even go for regular updates if possible. So if you don't know whether or not you're going to have the definite answer, at least I think promising that by certain date you're going to provide an update where the candidate is on their journey. And I know, Bill, that you have this in your book as well,
I do.
like really knowing where it is in the journey, right? Where am I? Am I at the start or am I getting there? Is it 15 interviews to do, or is it 5?
I have a very strong opinion about how many interviews should happen. Not everyone will agree with me, but I think anything more than 4 interviews typically is extreme. But if there's a clear reason why there is more than 4, then you should be able to communicate that. There should always be a very clear plan on how many interviews we're having, why we're having them, who's involved, and why. And then we're able to communicate with the candidate. Hey, we're doing an exploratory conversation with you. We want to see if you're going to be a good fit. The next process is this. The next process is this. The next process is this. And here's where I'm going to speak to you on in each step of the way and what that looks like. So if you're communicating that, the candidate's like, oh my God, I feel like I'm being respected, and I can go through this process with them because I know what it looks like.
Totally. That's something that we are hardwired to crave. We crave certainty. We want to know what's going to happen. That's something you need to do in workshops and everywhere. Providing agenda, providing some sense of pacing, a code of conduct. It's no different in recruiting. But I would say probably it's even more important because that's the first impression, right? That's usually the first contact the candidate might have with the company. But having said that, Bill. I'm wondering. We hopefully we don't have people like that watching us, but we might have people watching us who are saying, okay, well, everyone has to suffer through recruiting. It's just what it is. It's important that once we have them in, they kind of perform. So, do we even know? Do we have some way of measuring the candidate experience? Do we know how it affects their performance, the way they fit in the team? In a nutshell, how can a company measure the effectiveness of their candidate experience initiatives? Is there a way?
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of tools and metrics that we can use on the HR side and the recruitment side. One of the most common ones is time to fill. So, I think right now the average time to fill is like 46 days from the time that you actually start the journey for the candidate. So it's just a metric that shows how long it takes to fill a position. A shorter time obviously means that it's an effective process, or it's better than the norm. Longer just means that maybe you don't have the right things in place to sort of get what you're looking for, or the candidate pool is smaller, or there's lots of things you can sort of add to why that time to fill is taking longer. Candidate satisfaction. So every single time you have an interview with the candidate, you can send out a survey saying what went well, what did not go well. And what this does is it helps you understand what your process looks like. If you have a high, satisfaction rate, that means you're hopefully doing the right things. If you have mid or low, then you should reassess. You should always be trying to work to improve the candidate experience. So then you can look like an employer of choice when people are out there looking to work at an organization. And then what's your employee referral rates? Are people excited about the organization, and are they willing to have their friends come work at the organization too? That's a big sign about employee engagement and what that looks like. So those I think are the things quickly that I would share that are ways that employers can tell how effective their candidate experience is going.
Got it. And I love that you actually mentioned some of these KPIs are exactly the same that you would want to measure for acting employees, right? So you can technically track the employee experience journey from before it even starts.
Correct.
Before we go to the next one, I just wanted to remind you, our audience, that we are grateful for you watching. Actually, if you want to put in the chat where are you watching us from, we would be kind of eager to know what's our audience composition. And more importantly, if you have any questions regarding recruiting process, regarding how it actually fits into employee experience, and then also brand advocacy, please put it in the comments. We're gonna see it right here, and we're gonna pick it up and provide some informed answers that might help you hopefully make better decision when it comes to recruitment process. So let me see before we get a question from the audience. How can we actually work with the data that you said we can collect through the data and like what we can measure, right? I'm just fumbling now here because I'm realizing it ties a lot into in general, like a two-way communication between the candidate slash employee and the recruiter or their manager. So it's the data represents some sort of feedback that the candidate is giving to the company, and also there's feedback represented by the way the company is communicating to the candidate. I mean, were you successful? Were you not successful? I'm just wondering if this let's say feedback or flow of information from the candidate towards the company in terms of assessing their experience, and the flow of feedback from the company to the candidate, where they are, whether or not they were successful, whether that's something that can be done better. How is this actually feeding into the employee engagement and potentially candidate willingness to do the great job in the company and recommend it to others?
I mean, and when you get the data, it's a tool. Everything that information is just a tool at the time. So, and how do you actually use that information? So, if you're doing a candidate survey after they interview with you, look at the data, make sure that you really understand what they're trying to say. Like what are the areas that we're doing well in? What's their experience? Were they actually the right candidate for the role when we brought them in? And use that information to assess how to make the hiring process better and more personalized for every single candidate. You can certainly have like a broad scope of what you're looking for each candidate and the entire candidate experience, but every role might be a little bit more unique, right? And so you use that data to improve the experience, and maybe you're able to identify, like, if I do X, this equals Y. It makes it more streamlined for us. I'm talking in sort of like big, broad strokes, I understand, but I'm just trying to ensure that I give like a general answer that can sort of help guide and support what you're asking.
Mm-hmm. Understood. I mean, actually, you provided some answers even earlier, right? That the feedback needs to be timely. So you want to get back to the candidate or even to employee, as fast as possible, and it should be, let's say, clear enough so people understand what type of information are they receiving, and they should also ideally know where to go for more if they need to. So if the feedback's not like that, there's always room for improvement.
Yeah, I mean, like I think in general, just like use it to help continue to find your top candidates, personalize the experience, and then improve your overall process. I mean, it's always a you know uh, uh, a we're constantly improving, hopefully, to ensure that we can be the employer of choice at the end of the day.
Hmm. I pretty much hope that the improvement will kind of save us from what's coming. There's a lot of talk now about AI, and it doesn't really matter now because people experience is going to be outplaced by robots or machines. So let's dive into this question that is everywhere now, omnipresent, with ChatGPT and its siblings. And that would be actually the topic of the recruiting in general and the future of work. Uh, does it even matter? I mean, aren't recruiters the dying breed? Is this gonna be in the future just a company with handful of employees operating computers and that's it? So how does improving the candidate experience help companies in facing those challenges of what we call the future of work?
Well, I mean, robots are not going to replace us anytime soon. I don't think I think I even posted something about that earlier today on LinkedIn. Um, uh, AI is not. We should not be afraid of it. It's actually it's a great and amazing tool that we all have available to all of us. We should certainly figure out ways that we can work hand in hand with our computer ones and zeros in hands, to make sure that we can maximize the effectiveness and be more efficient. But to how do we improve the candidate experience? When we're facing sort of like the challenges of the future work, I think it helps us improve or attract like the right in the best talent, the top talent. So also it helps us build a better brand when we're doing the right things. So it's not it's I mean we're not going to be uh, extinct in any time soon, at least in our lifetimes, I think. So I hope I answer your question. I kind of feel like I went off on a different direction, but I think that I answered what you were looking for.
Yeah, so basically you're saying, yeah, it definitely makes sense to invest into it, and so you would I guess say that the companies who do invest would be better prepared for the future than the companies who don't.
I mean, definitely. Like, I mean, I dabble a little bit in it myself, and depending on what client I'm working with, I might certainly use it to streamline application processes or selecting people. I try not to let AI or the ATS completely tell me who's going to be the best fit, but initially, at a first glance, it might be a way to be more efficient. But I then try or have someone on my team try to go back and at least look at the people who may have ranked less in the ATS to see if maybe they actually might be a good fit, because computers or AI is as good as how it's programmed. So if there's any biases there, then it's going to perhaps not have exactly what we're looking for. And also, there's the intangibles that the hiring manager might tell you that an AI is not going to see. So it's a matter of actually putting the human effort into it. So in that statement alone, I think that should share with us that AI is not going to replace us anytime soon. Hi, Jeff from Arizona.
Hi Jeff, hi Ugo. So Jeff and Ugo, the same thing. If you have any questions for Bill, drop them in the chat, and whoever else are watching us. We have, by the way, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, and on LinkedIn simultaneously. So we're everywhere, in your face, AI, and we are happy. We are happy to have you as part of the conversation. So thank you, Bill, for kind of putting my mind in peace when it comes to AI. I have to say I am a little scared because I looked at AI avatar version of myself, and he looks much cooler than I do. So I'm already scared. But I also want to say, so we are inviting questions here for Bill, but this is gonna be recorded in posterity or for posterity, I'd say. So some of you might be watching this as a recording. So in case you would, I'm gonna also put in here just in a little bit the link where you can ask Bill questions directly. In case you're just watching the recording, I'm also gonna put in a minute the link for the book that he wrote that you can purchase, and that's something that I'm wanted to do. Bill, I leave it with you. Keep an eye on the questions coming in, and
Yeah,
if you want to pick some, go for it.
sure. Jeff asked, what's the biggest piece of advice for a new recruiter? I think, well, I know from firsthand experience that there's a lot of people who are hiring managers or perhaps getting into recruiting thinking that it's very simple. I think it's easier for me because I've done this for 20 plus years, and I have my process, and I train my team on how to do things. But one of the most important things I think for a new recruiter is to make sure that they're organized. Organization and efficiency is the key to being a good recruiter, being a really good communicator, being a really good listener, and being persistent. Candidates are not always going to contact you right in the first message. So you have to be persistent but kind. Listen to what not only the hiring manager is looking for, but also listen to see if there's that candidate who's wearing purple shoes on Tuesday, and that's exactly what the hiring manager needed. Be an effective communicator. It's a key, I think, to effective recruiting. Hiring managers, candidates, and any other stakeholder that's involved. And then again, the organization. Recruiting is very complex, even though people like me might make it look easy on occasion. It's important to be organized. It's important to be efficient. And then it helps you keep track of your candidates. With the advent of applicant tracking systems, it's so simple to do. I mean, that part, at least when I started, way long time ago, it literally was Excel spreadsheets and trying to keep up with it that way. But the systems are in place now to help it be a lot simpler for you to be organized if you actually just use the right tools. So, and then again, I think probably an additional thing is just be very clear about the process. Give candidates timely feedback. Be respectful of their time. Be empathetic. Things I mentioned before, earlier in this call. I think those are the keys to be successful. I'm not hearing you right now.
Yeah, I see. Because rookie mistake, muted myself, didn't unmute myself. Now it's done. There you go. I said AI is a real risk. AI is never muted. So I see we have another question. So keep them coming. Before we go into that, Bill, I just want to expand on this because Jeff asked about advice for new recruiters. So thank you, Jeff, for the question. Let us know in the comments if this is landing, if this was helping. Bill, I would like to know, what would be the advice for experienced recruiters? So someone who's saying like, I'm doing this for quite a while. There's nothing new for me to learn. I know you put the book together. You've been kind of researching what are the new options, what is the cutting edge right now. So suppose there's someone who's in the trade for 5-7 years, maybe longer. What should they look into? So they are not kind of stale. They are still growing in this profession.
Yeah, I mean, I would say listen to your candidates and put your your ear to the ground and see what they're saying about like their experience. Frankly, the Don't Suck at Recruiting, my book is bore from my experience, from things that I hear, but that I experience personally, things that I hear from candidates, things that the recruiters who work with me tell me that they're hearing from candidates, and we've lost our touch a bit, and so and I have some people that I know that are recruiters who are acquaintances or business colleagues and sometimes friends who just sort of forget that piece. And so I would say, put your ear to the floor. Look at your Glassdoor reviews. Look at all the other similar tools that are out there about what's happening out there, and see what you can do to sort of improve that one recruiter at a time, right? And then I would also say, embrace AI and see how that can help you. I mean, I'm sort of in a position where I'm conflicted about it, having the personal touch and improving the candidate experience, but also leaning into AI. But frankly, that's where we're at in 2023. So I would say just, put your finger on the pulse and then see what you can do to improve it and not be stuck in that's just the way that we have always done it, because I think that's the worst phrase in the world.
Got it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put the link to your book on the screen as well in a bit. I see there's another question from Hugo. So in case Bill, you want to pick it up, let me know. And in the meantime, let me find the thing in there.
Yeah. So let's see. What does it say? I'm sorry, I'm old. What's your advice to have a better employer branding strategy? I mean, that's a great question. I think. First, you have to define what your employer brand is, right? What do you want your company to be known for? What are your company's values? What's your culture like? And if you ask, 9 out of 10 employees, what's the company culture? They should have the same answer. It should not be all over the place in one sentence, frankly, right? Certainly, each department can have like a slightly different, a brand, a culture, but like overall, the overarching culture should be the same. And then, so once you know what that culture, what that culture is, what your values are, what do you want to be known for, then I think that you're able to really communicate what your employer brand is, and be able to sort of identify like who are the best potential people to work for you. I think be authentic in who you are. Be like, your company should be true. It shouldn't be a show for people who a dog and pony show when they're coming in. Like, everyone should be authentic. Be consistent in your messaging. Across all the different channels that you have. So as you mentioned, like YouTube, Twitter, Threads, all the different social media platforms. And then be visible. Like, you have to go out there and show who you are. So go to industry events, write blogs, put yourself on social media. The more visible you are, the more people are gonna like want to come work for you. I put people that are in your company out there as sort of like brand ambassadors. What does that mean, Bill? It means, so if you have like a manager of accounting, and then your receptionist and like the vice president of something, have them be part of your messaging. Like, this is why I work here. Here's why I enjoy working here. Here's who we are, right? And then just listen to the feedback of anybody who works in your organization. Your employees have more insight a lot of the times than you do as a leader. One of my favorite questions to ask employees is like, what's one thing that you would do differently if you had the chance to, if you were a leader? And the amount of like gold that I get from them, and this is even before like doing engagement surveys and that kind of stuff, is brilliant. And then measure your results. Like I said earlier, like data is just information, but like, how do you use that information? Track like how your employer branding is going. What's working, what's not. And then that's going to help you optimize, your strategy so you can have the best results. So that's my quick answer. Hopefully I gave enough information, Hugo.
For the question, Hugo, hope you're doing good, by the way. And let us know in the comments if this answer landed. And Bill, sorry, I have to go there now because you kind of proverbial light bulb popped in my head when you said like, okay, the question you ask the employees, what would you do differently if you were the leader? Do you recall any answer that wouldn't uncover any confidential information? What would be like a cool answer that you heard was like, oh my god, that's really good and it could be implemented? What would the people say?
Well, I've asked this question probably tens of thousands of times. Now that I'm trying to come up with something for you, I'm going too deep to focus. Let's see. I mean, I'll give you a simple answer. Like, one time I was working for a company, and I was in the break room with everyone, and I was one of the senior leaders who'd come and sort of walked around, and honestly, no leaders had been there for a really long time. And I said, like, what's one thing that we could do for you as an organization if you have the chance right now? They're like, well, actually, it'd be really nice if you actually had a working microwave, like in the break room. And I was like, my goodness, this is something I can fix like in 5 seconds, right? So things like that where you can have an easy and quick win, that helps employees understand that you're listening and that like their voice matters, right? So another instance is I had like an employee talk to me about pay disparity, and I was a brand new leader in the organization, had no clue what was happening, and actually that opened up us doing an entire like pay band discussion and looking at how we went about hiring and what that looked like. So it added so much value just by like hearing that. And senior leadership who had been there for years had no clue. Frankly, they did. But like when it was brought to my attention, I was in a position of influence where I could actually look and see what it looked like. And it was all over the map, but we fixed it. But it took some work and it took some money to get there.
Thank you, Bill. I love this because it actually speaks to what I think is critical for not just employee satisfaction, employee engagement, but also, of course, for brand advocacy and beyond, is this two-way communication. So bringing employees on board, asking them, checking what the solutions might be. And what I see, not always, but what I often see is the leaders kind of talking to other leaders and trying to figure out, how do I scratch my head effectively? It's like, yeah, like this. It's just not really the way. And the simple microwave can solve the issue, but you would never look there because you just don't ask. So two-way interactions rather than just, I would say, preaching or deciding on a higher level and broadcasting it is what makes the difference. That's how I see it, and I think that's what you say when you suggest listen to the candidates rather than just talking at them.
True. I mean, it's a two-way conversation. I think a lot of times as employers, as hiring managers, as people who are responsible for that, we just ask questions and don't really take the real perspective of what an employee or a potential employee or candidate has. Like it should be a conversation much like we're having right now, right? Allow them to ask the questions, be open to them, and don't prejudge. And when you have the opportunity, give people an opportunity. I mean, many times in my career, I am not a good interviewer. Typically, I've been given the chance, and it was really a smart decision for whoever I ended up working for eventually. So that's my TED talk for the moment.
Got it. Well, we actually moving to the overlap of the principles of good candidate experience and the employee experience. Before we go a little bit into that, I'm gonna share a few things in here. So first of all, we talk about Bill's book. If you are joining us right now, you're not here from the beginning. The book is called "Don't Suck at Recruiting," which is a really cool title, I think. And I put on the screen the link where you can get it. You can of course get it on Amazon or wherever else. That's I got it on Amazon. And another courtesy of Bill is that he is willing and open to answer your questions also after the show. So I know many of you who didn't manage to make it on time, who didn't catch the live show, you are actually watching us later. We are already somewhere else doing other cool stuff, but you are still watching this. So I put on the screen also the link that you can use to find some time with Bill and go deeper into the question that is important for you. But just Bill, I know you're on LinkedIn, you're pretty active. Do I get it right that people can also just message you over there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on LinkedIn every day, multiple times a day, so anyone can message me there. But for this, I decided to just give an invite. If anyone wants to chat with me about anything when it comes to a quick recruitment question or some way they think they can a question they have about the candidate experience, can book me for a few minutes, and I'll happily give some advice and coach you through it. So my gift to you for spending time with me today.
Awesome. Love it. We can even put it maybe in a post tomorrow when we're gonna sum up how this went, what we discussed. So thank you, Bill. Thank you so much.
I don't know if I want 100 million thousand people looking, but sure.
Oh my God, you're right. It would be too good.
Yeah.
Let's keep it here then. Sure. So let's move a little bit to the principles in here. So what would be the principles of the good candidate experience that extend beyond and goes to the employee experience? We covered some, the feedback, the good communication. Anything we didn't cover yet that you consider important?
I mean, that's a great question. I think I'm sort of a broken record a lot of the time. In order to ensure that there's going to be a good employee experience, it really starts with the candidate experience. So much like I told about having clear expectations and communicating clearly, I think the first one would be ensure that you're letting the employees know what's expected of them in their job. In my book, I actually talk about doing this from the very beginning. When you actually create the job description, you really say like by the first 3 months you will have accomplished these 5 things. By month 6 you will have accomplished these things. Just 2 things. It helps the candidate visualize themselves in the role and what the work is they're going to do, and 2, it helps the leader have a way to track and measure success and what that looks like. right? So you're winning all the way around, and then hopefully you're layering in like like, constant communication with your then employee. So there's a cadence like once a week, once every 2 weeks, whatever it might be. So that's separate, but maybe not even separate. I think it's part of the process. Like regular feedback. As long as you're giving them regular feedback, and ensuring that they know where they stand, and the conversation, like I said, is it's two ways. So like when I coach my leaders that I work with, I share with them like there should be a cadence of questions. Like we ask these 3 questions, let them ask these 2 questions, and then we can go in, and it's all dependent upon the organization and what they're looking for, what their culture is, and what it looks like to work there. But regular feedback. I would then say what is the opportunities for growth in an organization, and what does that look like? Employees want to feel like they're working in an organization that they're adding value to, but they also want to see what's their trajectory. Is there going to be an opportunity for me to grow? Is there going to be an opportunity for me to develop my skills? How is what I'm doing today going to help me tomorrow? Is it here? Is it somewhere else? Like those are the conversations that you're having when you're regularly speaking with your employee. And I think the benefit, actually I know the benefit, there's data to support this, is like it helps keep employees engaged, and it lets them know that there's a path for them, right? There's work on the back end from the HR about job segmenting and like all that kind of stuff, but like the simple answer is like, what is the opportunity for growth in my organization? And then be honest, be clear, be positive, and support them in their role. Many times some leaders will not be a light for their staff. It's our role as managers, as leaders, to ensure that when people are excited to come to work on a daily basis. That's literally what our role is. Like the people who are day to day are actually doing the real work. We're here to make sure that their lives are easier. I firmly believe that it's what it is. And so we need to make sure that, we're showing them that they're valued, that they're respected, that we appreciate their work. We're giving them the tools and resources to help them be successful. And they're part of our collective team, and that their individual contribution helps to, help us get to our, overarching business objectives for that year. And then, collectively, our collective vision for the next 3 or 5 years. I hope I answered your question clearly enough.
You did and beyond, I believe. There's just I'm just going to highlight a few more things that actually from your book that I agree, and I deeply believe that cover the employee experience beyond the candidate experience. But you can see them in candidate experience and in job description so much, because that's written. And some of the job descriptions are quite horrible. What you are saying there, and this applies to any experience, workshop, event, communication. You are saying, I'm going to paraphrase, it's like, don't talk about yourself in a job description. Don't talk about your company. Talk about what's in it for the candidate. Talk to them. So address the candidate. This goes to the point you actually mentioned, the diversity and inclusion, making sure that the phrasing is inclusive and it addresses the people you want to address. And I've seen it so many times, like a job description when we are the best in the industry, we are the greatest, you are not even worth it to apply, but we're going to let you because we need, some underlings. Sometimes it feels like that, this grandeur, like this is not for you. It doesn't feel welcoming. It's very, very common. So this is the point I think is important.
That's true. I mean, it is important to talk about who your organization is, and hopefully you've built, a great enough employer brand where people understand this, and they seek you out. They're knocking down your doors to work for you, and you have, employees who are super happy and they tell their friends to come work for you. But you do want to ensure that the job description clearly lets them see themselves in the role. If they can do that, they want to come there because it's not ambiguous. It's like
Yeah.
I know this is what I'm going to be doing. And then, as I told you, it also makes the manager have to work a little bit too. There's been countless times when I have worked with clients and they're like, I want to hire this. What does that role look like? Well, here's a former job description, or look on Google or whatever it might be. It's them being lazy. I think it's important to hold managers as accountable as they hold the employees 99% of the time. So if you want me to work with you, like I'm very like I'm charming, but I'm also difficult. I mean, I realize who I am, and anybody who knows me well knows that. If you're going to hire me to be the expert, I'm going to be the expert. And I'm going to tell you what I need you to do, and if not, that's fine. But we need to be fair to the candidates because at one point I was a candidate, and sometimes when I guess people want me to work for them. I'm a candidate in a way, but like I have the influence to help ensure that we make this a good experience for people who are coming to work with you because my name's also attached, right? And we should just honestly treat people kindly and how we want to be treated. We often forget sometimes when we're in a position of authority or power or influence what it was like for us, a year ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago. So it's important to always be, mindful of what that looks like for people because it does so many great things for both the candidate, your existing employees, in the organization holistically, I believe.
Got it. Okay. No, it makes perfect sense to me, and I think it's also a great way to kind of wind down. Treat people kindly. Sometimes it's as simple as that. But of course, as we say, it's easily said and done. You might have good intentions, but it's difficult to translate those into day to day, especially when you're overwhelmed doing other stuff. That's where Bill comes in. So his book is a lot about setting up mechanisms, making sure that you can do all of these things consistently and not only in your best day. At least that's how I understood that.
Yeah, I mean
So
the goal is just to ensure that you don't suck at recruiting.
perfect. Well, that's mostly what we got for you today. Bill, anything you want to add? Beyond the beautiful closing.
No, I'm grateful that you asked me to come chat with you. It's been a great conversation. I hope it added value for all the people that were here today. I'd love for you guys to to buy my book, Don't Suck at Recruiting. It's available on Amazon. And if there's an employer out there who needs help with recruiting and more than just a book, I'm happy to help you and manage that process. So please look for me. On LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to chat with you. Or you can also go to the link that I provided, and I'm happy to chat with you there. But it's been a great time. Thanks so much. That's what I have to add to the conversation.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Bill. This is great for everybody who wants to watch it later. Watch it on LinkedIn. There's a replay in case you have friends who don't have LinkedIn. This is also on YouTube, so you can find it on my YouTube channel. And if you want to listen to it in the car or somewhere, you can also find the audio recording on the Leadership Experience Works podcast. That is also linked in my LinkedIn profile. And I do this every week, trying to bring you amazing guests every time. And as Bill said, he's a charming guest. He was a charming guest. Bill, you were not difficult at all. It was a pleasure. Next week, I'm doing another one the same time. This time without a guest. But we're gonna talk about how to design an engaging event when you are on a budget. And well, let's face it, you're always on a budget. So I'm going to talk about what principles to apply, and some of the principles we've heard today from Bill are actually universal and apply to events as well. So stay tuned, check my LinkedIn account as well for new updates. My name is Aleš, and I'm delighted to be here with you. Thank you again, Bill. Thanks everybody who was watching. Have a lovely rest of your day. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.